A school reunion it'd be kind of fun to see everybody, but it'd also just be like a dick swinging competition of who's like doing the best. Well, just turn up in like an astronaut outfit and be like, yeah, I go to the moon and back every day. After 11 years at the club, Aaron Ramsey will be leaving Arsenal this summer and joining Juventus. Whilst he gets to grips with playing alongside Ronaldo and working his way into the team, back in North London, Unai Emery will be figuring out how to replace the midfielder. In doing so, he'll need someone energetic, good on the ball, can carry it forward, and with a brilliant eye for a pass. Now, this isn't easy to find all in one player, so he'll have to do some compromising. However, there are plenty of fantastic players out there who could fill a few boxes at least. So in the next few minutes, we've got a few Bundesliga stars, some Premier League players, and a vice-captain of one of Arsenal's rivals in these 5 players who could potentially replace Aaron Ramsey at Arsenal. First on the list, and a player whose current price of around £40 million could cause an absolutely outrageous bidding war during the summer. Although he's only on loan at Leicester until the end of the season, Tielemans wouldn't cost that much from his parent club Monaco, meaning that Arsenal should definitely be looking to sign up the Belgian. Now, his prized assets are his composure on the ball and his eye for a fantastic pass, especially his forward passing. However, don't be mistaken, he also has brilliant tenacity and energy to get around the field and get involved in all assets of play. This season, with 2 goals and 5 assists in his last 8 games for Leicester, he has really shown what a quality player he is. And at just 21 years old, he's got a wealth of experience. With the Belgian national side, he's got over 20 caps, 1 goal, and has appeared at a World Cup finals with his team. This all adds to the fact that he will be a fantastic investment not only this season for £40 million, but for the future as well, as he's only 21 years old. This season, as I mentioned, he's been in brilliant form with Leicester. He's been playing alongside a defensive-minded midfielder in Ndidi and behind an attacking midfielder in James Maddison. If you take him to Arsenal, swap Ndidi for someone like Xhaka or Herrera and swap Maddison for someone like Mesut Ozil if he stays, well, you can see Tielemans fitting into a pretty nice midfield 3. In fact, the more I talk about it, the more it seems like an absolute no-brainer for Unai Emery. He'll just have to fight off a few other clubs if he wants to get his signature first. Now, number 2 on this list, and someone who will be familiar to you if you're a fan of the Bundesliga, especially Hoffenheim. Now, much of Nagelsmann's fantastic achievements in getting Hoffenheim into the Champions League are thanks to the form of his number 10, Kerem Demirbay. Now, the attacking midfielder was signed in 2016 for just 250k, but since then has come on leaps and bounds and is now producing the goods on the pitch. He's not necessarily a defensive-minded player and is definitely more of an attacking midfielder, but he's got all the passing ability of a controlled number 6 and all the fantastic creativity of a brilliant number 10. We've seen that in the last few seasons with Hoffenheim, as he's contributed 12 goals and 22 assists in just 62 games. This means he has a direct effect on a goal, whether assisting or scoring it, more than once in every 2 games. That's the kind of efficiency and consistency that Arsenal have been crying out for. It's this kind of impact that means I could see him fitting in really, really well at the Emirates, and he is one of 2 players on this list who I think could directly replace Aaron Ramsey, definitely in terms of what he's bringing to the team. Alongside this as well, he's going to be the cheapest player on this list if you discount a free transfer that we'll talk about in a few minutes. He'll cost around £22 million from Hoffenheim, which, as we mentioned with Tielemans and many other players who are pretty much under 50 million, that's going to be an absolute steal in the crazy transfer market. Next up to a player who, though not stylistically completely replacing Aaron Ramsey, when it comes to dominating the midfield, his presence could be absolutely key for a few reasons. First off, and in Abdoulaye Doucouré, Watford have an absolute powerhouse of a midfielder. With incredible strength, energy, passing, and a decent eye for goal, the Watford man has had a brilliant season. With 5 goals and 6 assists this year in the Premier League, it's clear that he's brilliant going forward, but it's also his defensive capabilities which make him such an exceptional midfielder. Now, of course, he sounds like a top player for any team, which is probably why PSG are also reportedly sniffing around him as well. But what he can bring is something that Arsenal have lacked in the last few seasons, and that is a tough off. But Arsenal's main problems in the last few years has been the spine of their team. It's been their mental toughness and their physical dominance in the middle of the park. This is something which Doucouré brings in abundance. But it's not only this that would help, but also because the fact he is a box-to-box midfielder, meaning not only he can do everything, but he can also compensate for a more luxury player in the team. Just think about it. If Doucouré is there to not only help get forward, but also to sweep up when the opposition is counter-attacking, it means they can afford to have a player like Mesut Ozil, someone who doesn't really track back and help the defensive side of the team, but whose quality going forward is just too much to ignore. This, of course, is if they even keep him in the summer. Whether or not Mesut Ozil stays is obviously a completely different question altogether. However, having Doucouré in there alongside the likes of Herrera or Xhaka or even Guendouzi means that Arsenal can afford to maybe throw in another attacker, knowing they're going to have a solid foundation in the midfield to build off and let the other players go forward and do their thing. We all know that Arsenal's main threat is the fact they've got so many good attackers. Now, our fourth man on this list, and probably someone who's highly unlikely to join purely because he'll be joining from one of Arsenal's major rivals, especially the fact that he'll be joining on a free transfer. And Herrera's contract is up in the summer and it doesn't look like he'll be signing a new one purely because Manchester United won't be giving the 29-year-old the wages that he wants. So, if Arsenal can swoop in reportedly, again, ahead of PSG, who may or may have not offered him a pre-contract agreement, they'll be getting one hell of a player. And the second person on this list, who I think could do a fantastic job at replacing Aaron Ramsey. Now, he isn't necessarily the greatest scorer of goals or doesn't get that many assists. However, what he does do is keep the tempo of the game going. He's much like Youri Tielemans in this sense, in the fact he's got a fantastic eye for a pass and can keep the ball moving forward at a good rate. It's here where he'd fit into the centre of midfield perfectly. Arsenal are a very good counter-attacking side with some incredible pace up front, so to keep the ball moving fast at good speed is exactly what Herrera can do and exactly what Arsenal need. Now, the one question you're probably asking at this point is that why on earth would they go and spend all that money on Ander Herrera when he wants around 220k, and they wouldn't go and spend it on Aaron Ramsey, who reportedly wanted 300k. Now, of course, the fact that there's an 80k difference plays a little bit of a part, but also because Arsenal didn't think that Aaron Ramsey would be worth that kind of money, especially with his recent injury record. In fact, it's only after the last few games they're really seeing how much of an amazing impact Ramsey can bring. Alongside this though, Ander Herrera would actually make sense because they're going to get him on a free transfer. They won't be spending any money on a ridiculous transfer fee, so even if they did spend the 22 million plus wages on someone like Demirbay, who is the cheapest on this list aside from Herrera's free transfer, they could spend that money instead on Herrera's ridiculous contract. All of that money could go into the money that he'll be making per week, and there you have exactly why they'll be probably more likely to offer him a deal on a free contract rather than going for Ramsey's crazy deal or spending a huge amount of money. But if they do, there is one player that they could sign for around 60 million euros, and he's the fifth player on this list. Now, not only is the last player the most expensive on this list, but as someone who could replace Ramsey and maybe even Mesut Ozil if he were to also follow the Welshman out of the exit door at the Emirates. Yes, Piotr Zieliński really is that good. Now, I say like Ozil because the Polish playmaker is much more comfortable going forwards than he is going back. He does track back for the team and can find himself in some defensive deep line positions in the midfield, but to just rely on him for all of his defensive abilities, which are average at best, would be to tragically misuse him. All of Zieliński's skill come when going forward. He's got great composure on the ball, a lovely first touch, brilliant forward-thinking passes, and can carry the ball over a long distance. He's the kind of guy that can create a move all over the pitch. With good speed and neat 1-2 passing, he could have the build-up play all by himself, completely dominate before laying on that final through ball. Again, like we've mentioned before in this video, this is exactly the kind of football that Arsenal play. Unfortunately, with the likes of Granit Xhaka and Lucas Herrera, once they've passed the ball, their movement isn't that quick to then go and get forward and get ahead of the play. This is exactly what Zieliński can bring to the side. After all, he's been a crucial part of Napoli's team in the last few years, and they've played some of the most exciting football in Europe, even if they did get knocked out by Arsenal in the Europa League quarter-finals. Now, as mentioned before, the one drawback of this deal is that Arsenal would pretty much have to break their transfer record by paying around 60 million euros for Zieliński. To fund this though, they may get rid of a few players in the process, which will probably lighten the burden. They could get rid of the likes of Ozil, Mkhitaryan, maybe even Danny Welbeck in order to fund a move for the 24-year-old. But as mentioned before, if they do, what a player they will be getting. I've no doubt that if he does make a move to the Emirates, he'll be doing fantastic in the Premier League within no time and could be one of the signings of the summer, even at such a big price. Ryan, the light's gone out. I literally was just about to do the outro. Look at you smiling, you know, this is the thing. If this one goes out, we're in real trouble. Oof. So there you have it, the 5 replacements for Aaron Ramsey at Arsenal. But which one do you think will be the best option? Maybe they could even sign 2 of them. Is it going to be Tielemans, Demirbay, Doucouré, Herrera, or Zieliński? Let me know all your thoughts down in the comment section below. And whilst you're down there, you can also smash the like button or click here to check out all of the other videos that we've got going on OneFootball. But until next time, I will see you guys later.